wanted to connect. It's just to sort of get a little update. And, how are things going for you?
I've been doing the program for a year, and I was able to coach while I was teaching, and I just left the classroom. And I'm glad to be able to do learning success coaching, because you really get to work one-on-one with the students, and you get to really meet their needs one-on-one, which as a classroom teacher, it's getting harder and harder to do that, just based on the students have so many different needs, and you're trying to meet them all at once while you are basically cruise director, educator, babysitter, therapist, and nurse all at once. So I think that that is really nice for learning success coaching, because you know your value, you charge what you're worth, and Kohila taught me how to do that.
I was going to ask you, what was the biggest change that you felt that you experienced since beginning and to now?
The biggest change was I didn't know that, Kohila teaches you how to see your true value as an educator. And so many times we don't bat an eye for other professions, you know, charging a certain amount, or other professions having a certain value. If you have a plumber come out, if you have an electrician come out, if you get your hair done, you're expecting to be in a certain price range. Whereas educators, Kohila taught me that educators have like this serving mentality, where we don't feel like we can charge even what a hairstylist would charge, because we are educators and we're supposed to give it away for free, and we're so used to service and doing it for the kids. And the thing about it is, Kohila likes to talk about this quote that educators throw around, like an educator is like a candle. You burn yourself and then you extinguish yourself in the process. It consumes itself as it provides light for others. And Kohila hates that, because she's like, no, you shouldn't consume yourself to provide light for others. And she's right, because as educators, we just have this idea that we're doing it for the kids. I'm not in it for the income, I'm in it for the impact. I mean, there are all these little platitudes that educators throw around, and they're so ubiquitous that you basically hear them everywhere. And I don't think that some of them are really good for educators. And when you see the way educators are being treated in the workplace, I'm on different Facebook groups where you see people say things that have happened, and you wonder what is the end result, because the teachers out there are really struggling, whether it comes to work-life balance, or whether it comes to having time for their own families. And administrators, some are better than others, but I think there is coming a crisis in American education, and Canadian as well, where you have a situation where the educator is wanting to help. They are wanting to give. They are wanting to make a difference in the lives of kids. That's why they went into it to begin with. But in the process, they're having to make so many personal sacrifices, whether it be their own health, their own work-life balance, their own family needs, of their own children or their own families, that are going unmet. And these are the things that are causing a crisis point for an educator, because they want to do what's good for kids, but they also can't be that candle that extinguishes itself in the process. And that's what Kohila has really tapped into, is finding a way that educators can do what they love and give, which is educate, but also being able to maintain that work-life balance that we all crave.
And so you have a family. How have they supported your journey?
They have. They've supported it wholeheartedly, because we had come to a point where I think my kids and my family, we knew it was not sustainable. So this was something that came across my path, and I was already looking for a way to make it happen, to give myself that work-life balance that I needed. And when this came across my path, I felt drawn to it. And just jumped in because I wanted, and this was something that was, so many times when you talk about starting your own business, it is a slow build, and you have a lot of hours put in to build to the point where you can make an income. And this one is different. There's still a lot of foundational pieces that need to be laid, but it is different in the fact that that the process is low hanging fruit. I mean, you can get a client and you can get students fairly soon in the process, and you can generate some income that way. So that way that it enables people to move more quickly, I believe, to starting their own business, and educators to be able to reach more students and have work-life balance. And Kohila lays the process out for you.
Well, I was going to ask, thanks for mentioning it. How about the materials and the support in the program? Was it easy to follow?
Yes, and she's updating the program, and she's updated it now. So she continues to clarify and make the program accessible as she sees questions come across, and she's very reflective in that, and she is responsive in that, and she's built it with feedback. And I didn't know when I came in, thought it was going to be more of an online course, and there is an online course component, but she provides a lot of personal coaching as well that is not usually found in these type of programs. So I think that's really valuable because Kohila is checking in on you. She has a real knack for knowing, she's worked so long as a coach that she is good at coaching us teachers as well, because she has coached her students so long that she knows how to really check in on people and make sure they're understanding. And if they have any questions, she's very personable that way.
So working as a coach and earning what you would have earned as a teacher, talk to me about the difference in hours.
Oh, far fewer hours and much more flexible. That's one thing I love, because you can work evenings, or you can work much fewer hours. I think I did the math, and what I was making as an educator is substantially less than what I make as a learning success coach. So I definitely am glad, and it opened up a world of possibility to me, because I realized that it is possible to make what you're making. Because I think that when people go into teaching, I went in from TV news, and so people talk about how low teachers make, but I actually increased my salary leaving television news reporting and going in. I was new, so it hadn't worked my way up to the quote unquote big bucks. But I think that for me, a teaching was a substantial pay increase, and I had worked up towards maxing that out by having my master's and things like that. So you do get to the point where you have family responsibilities, and you feel a little bit like, okay, I've charted this path and I need to stay on this course in order to fulfill my family responsibilities. And it can be daunting emotionally and also financially to think about making a change when you already have gotten into a system or gotten into a role. But for me, I felt peace about making that decision. And the program definitely helped me know that there are other options for me to be able to generate the income that I am making as a teacher, with other options like coaching and other things.
Makes sense. And so do you feel like you received full value for your investment?
Oh yes, I've already made back my investment, and I think that I'll continue to do so in the future. So definitely feel like it was worth the investment. It was a big investment for me. It was the biggest investment I've made in my career change, and even probably in my career other than college. And I think that I just knew I wanted to do it. So I definitely don't have regrets about doing it.
That's nice to hear. And so if there were someone that was on the fence, perhaps thinking about taking the program with Kohila, what would you share with them now, knowing what you know?
Right. I would say do it, because when you jump in and you see your value as an educator, I don't think you can unsee it. And then once you see your value as an educator, And once you see a path that you can take to generate work-life balance and income, I think that you start to view yourself differently. And Kohila talks about this in her New You, and she really, even in her she's revamped the program, and she has focused even more on dealing with the fact that educators don't value themselves fully. And when you have to really do that internal work, that personal work, in order to see yourself um, as providing value, because the world and society has decided what they feel educators are worth. And you really have to believe it inside. And Kohila really makes sure that you don't, she calls them limiting beliefs, that you don't succumb to those limiting beliefs, because as an educator, you're going to constantly, your brain is going to constantly default to that limiting belief about what is education worth. And as a society, it's something we really have to grapple with. What do we really find education to be worth? And it needs to be rethought. But Kohila is on the forefront of thinking about that and actually personally telling educators, no, forget about that. This is what you're worth. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.